Thanks, Carl. Hi, Joe.
You got it right.
Carl, because last time I said Carlo. Once I said Carlo.
But Carlo would be sitting at home in the other room going,
that's not my name.
Me. Anyway, yes, tell me.
So last week we talked about success.
We did?
And yes.
No, we didn't. Last week we talked about support.
Support, not success.
Wow.
Sorry, my mistake.
Yeah.
And we mentioned that one of the ingredients to be, that's it, successful.
I said a long time ago, we talked about, on one of the shows back, we talked about like a recipe for success. And I said there's ingredients to it, yes. Exactly. And then last week we touched on it as well, because I said one of the other ingredients would be support. Yes, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so would motivation be another ingredient?
Motivation, yeah.
So for a successful life, sort of?
For life, or what do you mean?
Well, in general. Well, for example, last week we talked about support. That it's crucial that a person has support to move on. You know, if you have a goal in mind or you want to do something, it's good to have support in one way or the other.
Yeah.
Now, is motivation like sort of?
Well, motivate. Yeah, I know what you. I think I know what you're asking me. I mean, obviously it's important. You have to be motivated to make a move. I mean, I can give you just like, you know, my own sort of motivational story. Like when you know, when I was growing up, I always wanted to be a superstar, always. From a very early age, I loved athletics, I loved sports. I think for me, in my own situation, it was an escape from sort of the reality of what I was actually going through in my growing up period of time. So sports was a way to vent out my, you know, my angst, my anger, my frustration. So I used to always, you know, watch sports all the time, and I would find it so motivating. I would see, you know, whether it was football or whether it was the Olympics or whatever I saw, I would always see that person who was winning, getting the gold medal. I used to be very inspired, you know. I'm not sure what inspired me was just the whole scene of it. The crowd screaming and cheering for one person. I would just say, oh my goodness, if I just grew up and people were just screaming or cheering for me. It sounds crazy now, but it wasn't about the attention on me as much as it was sort of the attention on what I'd accomplished, you know. So that's how I was when I was growing up, and I used to think about it all the time, literally all the time. I used to, oh my God, I could tell a story. I think of it all the time. When I go to bed, I would imagine myself, whatever sport I was playing, I would always imagine myself, you know, getting away, running, you know, and winning, and arms up in the air, and people were cheering, and I was like feeling so proud of my accomplishment and all the hard work I put through. And this became the cornerstone of my life. I played all these sports all my life. I used to, from 6 years old, always talk about it. When I was older, between halftime, like when the game was on and halftime, I would go and go for a run in between and come back. I don't care if it was cold or snowing, I'd still go for a run, come home, do sit-ups, and I was always motivated by what I was watching, because it let me know, it gave me the fire to dream. To dream about what I wanted to do. And I always said, I'm going to be a pro football player. I'm going to be a pro football player. That's all I wanted to do when I was younger. Bodybuilding was the second thing I was going to do, but football was number one. And I always said I wanted to do it. And I always made sure that I always watched every game. And it was, you know how it is here. You know how people get so involved in it. And
obsessed with it.
Yeah, and I was too. I mean, it motivated me to high end, and I played all my life, and ultimately I was drafted, you know, and I was picked up on a pro team. Unfortunately, you know, I got an injury, which then propelled me into the sport I'm in right now. But yeah, motivation, it is that flame that is inside of you, that fire that burns so passionately deep inside of you, that doesn't allow you to let anything go. Now, I'm talking about sports, I'm talking about, you know, John, you know, but it's not really that way. But, you know, to be a great parent, you need to be motivated. To be a great business person, you need to be motivated. I mean, motivational speakers don't just speak to athletes, they speak to business people, they go and talk to people in business so that they themselves feel motivated and encouraged to work harder. You know, motivational tools are huge as far as motivational videos that you can watch, that you hear people that have gone through adversity or talking about not quitting, or all these things. They become very empowering to a person, and I think it's very important that we have motivation around us, because without it, it's like we don't have any dreams. We can't see the future. We can't see our possibilities. There is no possibilities if there's no motivation.
Especially when obviously the road is difficult to
traverse. Absolutely. I mean, life has its own obstacles, you know, and we live in the real world, but the real world doesn't mean that we can't be motivated to better our own self.
How can you keep yourself motivated every day? Like what? You know?
You asking me what I do, or
when you're going through a difficult time? Well, you can share your experience.
I mean, for me, you know, I always keep my eye on the prize. You know, I always, you know, remind myself what it is that I'm doing every day. Why am I living? You know, why am I living? Am I just living to wake up and go to work and to do this, do that? Because that's very demotivating to me. Unless my work in itself is what motivates me, which means what is it that I'm doing that is satisfying me? What is it that's making me want to jump out of bed? So I always feel that you have to keep the fires burning by you know, revisiting your dream, your goal, keeping your eyes on the prize, what you want so importantly, what you want so passionately that you never let it go, regardless of kids or husband or wife or work or a death in the family. You don't let nothing stop you from attaining what it is that you want. When it comes to a healthy lifestyle, that's, you know, doing the things, going out to the gym, getting a half hour or an hour for yourself to do what you need to do to feel good about yourself and be empowered as an individual, because in the very end of it all, anyone around you wants to be with someone who's empowered and happy and energetic, and that's not going to happen if you're not doing what it is that you want to do, and that's definitely not going to happen if you're not doing what you said you wanted to do and you're giving up on yourself. That's demotivating, not just for yourself, but everyone around you, because they say, you know, so, you know, I just think revisiting it daily. I do know this, and I mean, people will appreciate it. I think when it comes to health and fitness, because we like to educate on that, but when it comes to health and fitness, people have a difficult time being motivated because they don't necessarily see the true aspect of what it's doing for them. People look at a body on the outside and they say, well, I'm fine the way I am. But health is on the inside. It's like looking at a nice car on the outside, but the engine's just destroyed. It's the engine that is making us healthy. So because we can't see the inside, sometimes we say, well, I'm fine. I mean, I'm all right. You know, and that's a little bit of an issue. But, you know, for example, if someone wants to be successful in business, let's say you wake up tomorrow morning and you're lying there at night and you get this idea in your head about business, you say, oh my God, no one's done that. And then it sparks a fire in you. It just lights that, like that initial, all of a sudden, you're now having a difficult time sleeping. Why? Because you're thinking. You're thinking about your idea, and it's growing. The ideas are growing, and that creates motivation, because as you're thinking more and getting more excited, that in itself, that good feeling just propels you forward. Well, you don't wake up the next morning and forgot what you were thinking about the night before. You wake up earlier out of bed, jumping out of bed and thinking more about it, writing things down now, and then you're more excited and you can see the picture bigger, and maybe you talk to people about it and they hear you and they see the excitement in you, and before you know it, that is propelling you to go to the bank maybe, or to make decisions. Next thing you know, your shop is opening up. Next thing you know, your shop is fully housed. Next thing you know, you are, 15 years, 20 years in a business that has been highly successful because you were highly motivated to do it, because you did not let that dream die. You have to keep it at the forefront of your tongue. You have to look at yourself every single day and say, what am I doing today? What is it that I want to do? Not just for me right now, but for me in my entire life. What legacy am I leaving behind? I'm a shooting star, and I have 80 years to make my mark. What's that going to be? Sitting at home watching TV, eating twisties? That's my mark? Or is my mark going to be something bigger than that? And I don't know if everyone has that ambition. I certainly do. I do. I've been fighting very, very hard for a really, really long time, and motivated since a very young age to excel and leave a legacy. And I think everyone really has the responsibility to do that. But I think that's how you can accomplish it, you know, just by visiting it every day and having
working on it every day,
and
no matter what,
and have a very clear idea of what it is that you want. And I think when you do that, clear idea, and keep the perseverance and the dedication, the commitment going in that direction, you cannot help but succeed. Whether it's fitness goals, health goals, life goals, personal family goals, relationship goals, it makes no difference. Just be motivated and stay strong.
It's like climbing a mountain, no? Until you get to the top. You
can climb a mountain and your whole focus is to get to the top. And if your focus is so determined to get to the top, that you don't notice how many times you fell and scraped your knee and are sweaty and hungry and all of that, because your focus is just to get to the top. And when you get to the top and you look down at life and you say, oh my God, the world is super small compared to where you are at that moment, all those trials and tribulations that that you experienced going up that hill are immediately washed away. They have become, oh my God, what an amazing thing I'm experiencing right now. I will not forget this feeling. I will not forget what I'm looking at.
It was so worth it.
It was absolutely worth it. And oddly enough, you will then look out into the distance and you'll see another mountain, a bigger mountain, and you'll say to yourself, I'm going to climb that one.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thanks again for this corner, John. Right. We'll see you again next week with another topic.